Hi, good afternoon, everyone. I'm gonna give it a second so people can sign on to the pre-health webinar. So we'll start in a few seconds. Okay, we will get started. Thank you for joining me on this webinar today. My name is Alexander Ma. I'm the New York City Admissions Counselor for Binghamton University. And for the students that have recently been admitted, congratulations. So this year we received something like 40,000 applications. So it's a really big accomplishment for you to be admitted. So first we're gonna introduce the team that's joining us in the webinar today. Starting with the admissions staff. So Michaela.
Hi, everyone. My name's Michaela Ridley. I'm one of our admissions counselors. I really work with students all over the country, but some of my big territories are Ohio, the greater Washington, D.C. area, and my own home state of Washington.
Byron.
Hi, folks. My name is Byron Gittins. I am a senior staff member in the admissions office here at Binghamton University. I am from Queens, New York, and I am based now in Connecticut. The territory I have is Florida. Bummer, right? I also am watching over New England, but a big shout out and congratulations to those students who were admitted and for any other students that are out there thinking about Binghamton.
Cool. And David?
And hello, everyone. My name is David Babb. I am the New Jersey Regional Admission Officer, and I also recruit students in the state of Georgia. Congratulations on your acceptance.
Cool. And then moving on, we're going to do the pre-health advisor, starting with Dr. Langhorn.
Yes, I'm Thomas Langhorn. I'm the Director of Pre-Health Services here at Binghamton University.
And then Karen.
I'm Karen Cummings. I'm an academic advisor in Harpur Advising.
And who's that guest with you?
This is Riley Cummings. She's my daughter.
And then Evan.
Hi, my name is Evan Mills. I am an academic advisor and pre-health advisor in Harpur Academic Advising, along with Karen.
Cool. And then next, moving on are the tour guides. Kayla.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Kayla. I am a senior. Gonna finish my integrative neuroscience degree in just like 2 weeks from now. Also pre-med. Yeah, and I've been a tour guide for about 3 years.
Ben.
Hi, my name is Ben. I'm a senior from Staten Island, New York, and I study integrative neuroscience on the pre-health track, and in the fall I'm going to a DO school.
Josh. Josh, can you introduce yourself?
Sorry, I cut out. Hi, everyone. My name is Josh Normando. I am a senior as well, majoring in biology, minoring in health and wellness studies. I am a pre-optometry student. I'll be entering optometry school in the fall. And I have been a tour guide for the past 4 years at Binghamton. So, yeah.
Awesome. Matt?
Hey, everyone. I'm Matt. I'm also a senior at Binghamton, biology major, and I will be going to MD school in the fall.
And last but not least, Andrew?
Hey everybody, my name is Andrew. I'm a senior as well. I'm from Scarsdale, New York, and I'm pre-physician assistant. I'm in the application process. That'll begin very shortly.
Thank you. And also in the background, and you'll hear introductions from them later, are the peer advisors from the pre-health program, Leah and Andrea. So for this webinar, we did disable the chat function, but the Q&A function is available. So I recommend if you have any questions at any point, please use the Q&A function and we'll have live answers towards the end. So several weeks ago, I did have a webinar on Harpur College. So Harpur College is the biggest college within Binghamton. So I think about 60 or 70% of our students actually graduate within Harpur College at Binghamton. And what's housed there is a lot of different fields that you can go into, anywhere from the languages, the sciences, interdisciplinary fields, and the humanities. Also listed under Harpur College is our advising track. So today we are focusing on pre-health, and I will turn it over to my colleagues in the pre-health department to speak about what their specialty.
Well, thank you very much. I think we'll get started. Evan, did you want to go start first, or do you want me to start first? What would you like to do? Okay, so today we're going to be talking about various options within PreHealth. Dr. Langhorne is here, myself, Karen Cummings, and Evan Mills is with me as well.
So we're just going to talk a little bit about the different pre-health professions, who can be considered a pre-health student, how can our pre-health advising services help students. We'll also talk about campus opportunities and early assurance programs.
Stop. Okay, so just a little bit about us. The advisors that you see on the screen, there are 5 of us currently. We work with freshmen and sophomore pre-health advising team. Our job is to work with freshmen from the time they come in at orientation to the time that they're there, and then kind of going forward. We also have 7 pre-health advisors as well, pre-health peer advisors. They are current students, and their job is to work with students along the way to help them get prepared as well. They are students who are going through the same process as our current students. So there are a wealth of information for our students in terms of classes to take, how to take them, and things like that. So we'll work with them their freshman year and sophomore year, and then junior year, we turn them over to Dr. Langhorne. Dr. Langhorne has been working with juniors and seniors for over 35 years. He is a phenomenal person, phenomenal mentor. He's involved in many well-known organizations, national organizations. He's also an adjunct anthropology professor as well.
And so we want to talk also a little bit about who is pre-health and who could be considered a pre-health student. Health is an umbrella term that we use to describe students who want to gain entry to a graduate health program after they earn their bachelor's degree. So a lot of schools may have a pre-med or perhaps even a pre-health major. Pre-health is not a major at Binghamton. It's really a track that you would decide on based upon your interest in the health field. It's nice because it offers a lot of flexibility. The prerequisite coursework for a lot of these fields is very similar, whether you're interested in pharmacy, medicine, dentistry, veterinary science. A lot of that undergraduate coursework is similar, so you can switch fields if you decide you want to do something different at the graduate level. And it's, rather than having a dedicated major, you can, it offers you a little bit more flexibility for anybody who might be interested in a health field.
So how can pre-health advising help you? So our job at Binghamton is to guide you and to support you. You're going to work closely again with our students, with Dr. Langhorne, with our alumni, and we're going to work you through, obviously, from classes through the application process, figuring out if it's the right thing, right process for you, right pathway for you or not. But we go from start to finish, orientation through graduation and beyond. We're very close with our alumni, as you'll hear me say as we go along today. They come back, they visit, they help us out. So you're always going to be a part of the pre-health family. In terms of degree planning, it is individualized. Academics and pre-professional advising. So we really kind of run the gamut in terms of what we do. We talk about required courses. We look at GPA, your undergraduate degree, what is it going to be in? Is it going to be in science or something else? Because as we said before, you don't have to major in a science. We look at community involvement, letters of recommendation. We work with you in terms of research, internships, volunteer work, clubs and organizations. And then we look at the process you're going through, the admissions exams you're going to be taking. So we follow along in the holistic review that the schools and your graduate programs are going to be doing as well. As we know, it's not just about the GPA, it's not just about the coursework, it's about a holistic review. What are you bringing to the table in terms of academics, your character, your admissions exams, co-curriculars, and we're going to walk you through all of that as advisors, not just classes you're going to be taking, but what do you need to achieve your goals and how are we going to help you with every piece of that. One thing that we are proud to say is that for BU, for pre-health, we don't pre-screen our pre-health students. So some schools require a minimum GPA in order to be pre-health. We don't do this, so we will work with you with any student who comes in and wants to be pre-health. It's also a very individualized program, so it's no one-set path for anyone. I have students who are majoring in science. I have students who are majoring in graphic design. I have some students who want to take summer classes and try to go abroad. I have other ones who just want to get their classes done. And everyone's path is going to be different, and that's okay. We're going to tailor our advising to what you're bringing to the table and what your needs are. And again, you know, with our holistic review, we really feel that from everything that we're doing, we're going to get you where you want to go.
So we offer a lot of pre-health related events and workshops. Every spring we have a accepted students panel. There's pre-health research panels and mixers. There's physician alumni lecture series. So those in the past, those have included things like, you know, a day in the life of a trauma surgeon, a day in the life of a gastroenterologist, a day in the life of a primary care physician. We offer a lot of credentialing support as well. As you're getting ready to apply to medical schools. We have a very nice summer physician mentor program where you can actually go and shadow a physician for the summer and see what their work might be like. Those are most often Binghamton alumni, and there's a wide variety of different types of physicians that you might be able to shadow and just see what their work is like. We do our best to keep you informed about scholarships, research that you could do, different internships that you could do. Of course, the alumni speaker events I've mentioned, and we do our best as well to connect you with mentors who might be able to help your interest in the health field. If you have questions about the different pre-health curriculums that you might want to choose based upon your interest in graduate school, there's curriculum guides on our pre-health website, information about scholarships, research that you could do, internships, and lots of contact information for us, for Dr. Langhorn. We maintain a freshman and sophomore pre-health handbook that you can take a look at as well. That's updated every June with new information from the different schools that you might be interested in.
So we do offer quite a few different opportunities on campus as well, not just through Harpur Advising, but through our other colleagues in different offices, such as the Fleischman Center for Career and Professional Development. We work closely with them in terms of their health science internships. They also offer a graduate school fair as well every year. We also work with Harpur Edge, where they have what's called the LACE program. It's a liberal arts to career externship program, and you can actually shadow different alums in various fields as well. We offer the campus research opportunity postings, though we also, you know, it's important to get research if there's different fields of medicine you want to go into or different kinds of graduate programs you want to get into. So there are quite a few different research opportunities with BU faculty, starting as early as your freshman year here. We also offer summer research and internship opportunities as well. So it's never too early to start one of them or look into an internship or a shadowing program. It's going to round out your resume and potentially, you know, be one of those pieces of the holistic review that schools are looking for. BU also offers early assurance programs as well. There's quite a few different ones depending on what your path is going to be. So if you're interested in those, you can definitely ask us about those too.
Okay, I think we transition now to Dr. Langhorn to speak more about the PreHealth data.
Okay, so I guess this is my cue. The first shot you saw was a group of our alumni at their white coat ceremony, which is something that happens the first day of medical school. And these folks, they had an additional alumnus took this picture and emailed it back to us. This is from our graduating class of 2012 from Binghamton. So all these folks have long since graduated medical school and moved on. But it was such a nice shot, we always put it in the slides here. But that's where everybody hopes to be when they graduate from here, is in one profession or another at the white coat ceremony. So we have our admissions data is always from the prior admissions year because the current year is still in progress. So for 2019 for medical school, we had 156 applicants, 99 of which were accepted. That gives us a composite acceptance rate of 63% compared to the national rate of about 41%. And these are our most common target schools, if you will. Buffalo, Downstate, Upstate, NYIT, Albert Einstein, New York Medical College, and Thoreau. And last year, we did get a student into Harvard. Dental school, we had 37 applicants, 31 of which were accepted for an 84% acceptance rate, which is quite a bit higher than national. And the more common schools were sitting at Buffalo, Stony Brook, and Columbia, Thoreau, and NYU. And the next is our optometry. This is a little unusual. We always have a smaller group of students applying to optometry school, but we rarely hit 100%, which we did last year. There were 9 applicants. All 9 were accepted. And the 3 regional schools, SUNY Optometry, Salus in Philadelphia, and New England in Boston, were the destination for them. We have, as was mentioned earlier, we have an active peer advising program here. We have from 6 to 9 students who are part of the peer advising program every year. This is the cohort that was present for most of this year, supporting the student body. And today we have 2 of them, Andrea Price and Leah Goldberg, the 2 seniors, who are going to introduce themselves and give you a brief history of who they are, what they're doing next year, and what they've done while they're here at Binghamton.
Hi everyone, my name is Andrea Price and I am currently a senior integrative neuroscience major from Syracuse, New York. I am a pre-health peer advisor and I have been accepted into Upstate Medical University under their early assurance program. And I will be attending Upstate's College of Medicine starting this August. Throughout college, I have actively played the French horn in Binghamton University's Symphony Orchestra. I've also shadowed various doctors and physicians and worked as a pharmacy technician, a research assistant, and volunteered at Upstate Medical University as well. I also participated in Binghamton's neuroscience FRI program, conducting research for my first 3 semesters of college.
Hi everyone, my name is Leah Goldberg and I am a senior biology major from Westchester, New York. I am on the pre-med track and I will be attending medical school this coming August. Some of the things I've been involved in so far at Binghamton have been pre-health advising. I also was a part of the freshman research immersion program and I worked in a bacterial biofilms lab, and then I continued with research for the rest of my career at Binghamton. I also participated in one of the internship programs through the school where I was able to shadow multiple physicians at the Robert Packer Hospital in Sayre, Pennsylvania. Yeah.
Great, thank you very much. So the first questions I want to ask actually to the peer advisors, why'd you pick Binghamton?
I actually picked Binghamton because I was interested all along in Upstate's early assurance program, as well as I was from the Syracuse area, so I was nearby. And my third reason, I guess, would be the freshman research immersion program that I was invited into. And I just fell in love with the campus when I stepped foot on it.
I picked Binghamton for a lot of similar reasons. I'm also from New York. a little bit further away though, but many of the reasons I picked it were just the variety of opportunities available. I looked at the variety of shadowing opportunities in the area and the internship that I was actually a part of. I researched before I came to Binghamton. I also like the FRI program, so I could be involved in research. So I just felt there were a lot of opportunities available for undergraduates, which was really important for me.
Oh, great, thank you very much. So I'm going to go into the Q&A now for some live questions and answers. And the first one is for the pre-health advisors. Can you actually talk a little bit more about what early assurance is and the requirements to be accepted to that kind of program?
I can walk through a little bit of that. So for the early assurance program, we have a specific program to Upstate Medical University for pre-medical students, and you would start applying second semester of your sophomore year once you're at Binghamton University. And I would recommend going online to Upstate Medical's website and Googling their early assurance program and seeing their minimum requirements that you must meet before you apply. It requires a minimum SAT or ACT score, and as well as certain courses that you have to have completed once you're at Binghamton before the end of your sophomore year, such as your intro chem and your intro bio courses. And we have various resources on campus that you can use once you're here for help with advising, including other pre-health peer advisors.
Cool, awesome, thank you very much. So I know there's some things that we haven't touched on in the presentation itself. So I am getting a few questions about pre-veterinary programs and what's the acceptance rate. And do you know typically how many students from Binghamton apply to to veterinary schools?
Okay, that's one of our smaller interest areas. And with veterinary medicine, there's also a lot of alumni that apply. In other words, there are people that might take a year or two off after graduation to gain additional animal experience. Sometimes it's hard to track those people once they graduate, even though they haven't applied to veterinary school yet. So in a given year, we'll probably have 5 or 6 current students applying. We may have an equal number of alumni applying, but that's a very fluid situation. And typically, at least 50% will get in. Sometimes it's more in given years. And usually Cornell is the most common school that admits them, though they tend to gain admission in other schools across the region. And occasionally we've had a student attend veterinary school in the United Kingdom, for example, and also occasionally in the Caribbean.
Great, thank you. So this question is about internships and shadowing different medical professionals. So what percentage of students actually get internships at Binghamton? And do we have any kind of like partner hospitals in the city of Binghamton or down New York City or elsewhere?
Well, the local area internships are run through the Fleischman Center, and they have arrangements with all 3 of the local hospitals. I know that it appears that most students that want to get internships will get them. The internship programs are only 1 semester in length, so they will roll over and there'll be a new set of students who will get an internship the following semester. They give you academic credit as well as the exposure, but the local ones are all run through the Fleischman Center. So the mechanics of that, I'm not really well versed in. The other program we have is the Summer Physician Mentor Program that was mentioned earlier. That is run through it's spearheaded by the Harpur Edge, and it's run through the Harpur Dean's office. And that will typically have about 15 or 16 placements each summer. And you can do it either your sophomore summer or your junior summer. That's the other program we have. The program that Leah mentioned that she did, that is a special program for students in the Binghamton Scholars Program. And so that's not open to everyone. That's just open to students in the Scholars Program.
So the next question is actually back to early assurance and some more details behind the program. So one of the attendees asked if one of the requirements is to be accepted into early assurance program is to have higher than a 1360 on the SAT. If I do not have a 1360, am I able to retake it to get it above that?
Usually you can't retake the SAT for the upstate early assurance. Sometimes, you know, there might be some flexibility in that. That's really a question you've got to ask them. You do have to take the MCAT if you are accepted to the early assurance. So they do have another metric to measure you with. But as Andrea mentioned, the requirements are all itemized on their website. We have the parallel listing requirements itemized on our website. Also, they will accept alternately, they'll accept the ACT and not the SAT, and you get to pick. You know, if you took both tests and one is higher than the other one on a relative scale, you can simply submit the higher one. You don't, if you took them both, you don't have to submit them both. You can pick which one you want to send. And then you would have to engage in a discussion with them about, you know, where the threshold is and you know, what they might do with your application.
And to follow up with that, do you know what the admissions requirements for the early assurance program with SUNY Upstate?
Well, that would be, you need that score is 1360 SAT, or I think it's a 29 ACT.
It's a 30 currently now.
30, okay, they moved to 20, 1360 SAT, 30 ACT, and you need a minimum of a 3.5 in all science and non-science coursework, or higher. And you have to have completed 5 out of the 8 required science courses.
Cool, thank you. So we are getting a bunch of programs about early assurance. So next question is from Dia. So she wanted to know is what's the percentage of students who apply to early assurance are accepted? How many students of those are accepted into SUNY Upstate? And if a student fails to get a score of a 510 or above on the MCAT, but completes all other requirements, do they still have a chance to get into the program?
Well, the number of people applying varies from one year to the next. We typically have 10 to 12 people apply to the Upstate Early Assurance. That's in a typical year. We 2 or 3 years ago, we actually had 24 people apply, which was quite unusual. That we never, in the duration of the program, we've never had that many people apply. So that was kind of an aberration. It's usually 10 to 12. Probably about a third of that group will get in. So 3 or 4 out of the 10 to 12. Some years it might be a little more, but it's usually at least 3 to 4. Usually at least 30% of the group would get in. And the other part to the question, oh, the 510. Well, they give you 2 chances to take the test to score the 510. So typically that's the last step to getting in. And if you have to clear that threshold. And also you have to maintain, if you are admitted as a sophomore, you have to maintain your GPA levels throughout the remaining 2 years.
Thank you. So in relation to that, that's actually for the peer advisor. So what kind of advice can you give to like intended pre-health or pre-med students in adjusting to college for freshman year to keep a competitive GPA? And what general advice would you have given yourself if you could go back in time?
For me, I would say in order to maintain a competitive GPA, I would make sure not to overload on your science and math classes your first semester. you definitely need to make sure you have time to adjust to college. So make sure you take some of your gen eds your first semester, like maybe your G or your P gen ed, and then just definitely take chem your first semester and maybe a bio class. But if you find yourself being very overwhelmed, remember you have 3, or if you're planning on taking gap year, 4 years to spread out some of those prerequisite classes.
I agree. A balanced schedule is always better. And you are able to take a few of your gen eds along with your intro science courses. And that is always best your first year as you're adjusting. And maybe find an activity that you enjoyed doing with friends. Like I joined the orchestra, and that was my one extracurricular that I put my effort towards besides academics that really helped me stay well balanced.
Also, make sure you take advantage of the free opportunities at the school. Like there is free tutoring for basically all of the pre-medical prerequisites, like chemistry and organic chemistry and bio. And also many of the teachers hold office hours that are small group office hours. So definitely take advantage of what's there for you.
Great, thank you. So for the advisors, are there any talks about adding different early assurance programs for other fields, such as PA? And in relation to PA2, a student wants to know what's the acceptance rate for PA school at Binghamton.
Okay, right now we haven't, the early assurance programs that were displayed on the slide are the only ones that we have, and I haven't been approached, or to my knowledge, the university hasn't been approached for any early assurance program related to physician assistant. So at least right now, the ones that are listed on the slides are the only ones that have been approved for us to participate in. And the acceptance rate for physician assistant, that's a little hard to gauge also, because a lot of the physician assistant students apply, they take 1 or 2 gap years because there's a fairly steep clinical hour requirement for physician assistant school. And oftentimes the student graduating from Binghamton will have the academic coursework taken care of, but they won't necessarily have all the clinical hours they need for various programs. And so someone who would then graduate and not be around the university, you kind of lose track of. And I know Andrew is signed back in, or Andrew's on here, so he could provide some other information maybe about his journey.
Sure. So yeah, I'm the president of the pre-PA organization on campus. We've definitely seen a large amount of growth over the last few years since I started it or joined it as a freshman. But as seniors, okay, so you can either apply at the end of your junior year or at the end of your senior year. CASPA opens up towards the end of April. So it's different than like most application processes. We usually see about 5 to 10 apply each year. But again, like Dr. Langhorn was saying, most people apply after because you do need those patient care experience hours. And with all of the coursework and just maintaining a good life-work balance at school, it isn't super easy to get those hours. There are opportunities in Binghamton, in the Binghamton area, like at Lourdes Hospital where I work, and a ton of other of our e-board members work. But again, it does take time to get those hours, and you can't do everything during the summer and the winter. So it definitely takes time. A lot of students choose to take a gap year. And again, that's the norm for pre-physician assistant. If you have more questions about that, I'll link my email down below, and you guys can email me if you have specific questions about PA, because I've heard a lot of them.
Awesome, thanks, Andrew. So for the pre-health advisor, if I'm taking AP credit right now in high school, how does that translate to once I get to Binghamton?
So depending on the exam score you get on the AP credit, if you get a 4 or a 5 on an AP Chem or an AP Bio, you could either get out a part of your Bio, part of your Chem, or all of your Bio or all of your Chem. So then you would kind of go on to the next level of chemistry. You might go on to organic chemistry, or you might go on to a second level biology course. So it depends on what your scores are.
Great, thank you. So I know we talked a lot about traditional students coming to Binghamton and applying for a a medical field or looking to get into like pre-health in a way. So how about for like EOP students? Do they still have a chance of getting to early assurance programs with SUNY Upstate or any of the other early assurance partnerships we have?
Yes, they would. It's, you know, they just have to meet the stipulated requirements for the programs. They're a little more rigorous than applying as a regular applicant because of the benefits that are derivative from them. But they don't, you know, anyone can apply that has the threshold values for the prerequisites.
Cool. Awesome, thank you. And if I apply and am accepted to an early assurance program and I wanted to go study abroad in a different country, would me going away for either sometime this semester or during the summer session affect early assurance?
Studying abroad while you're on the, oh, sorry, go ahead, Tom.
No, you're with a study abroad. Well, that's actually fairly easy to do if you're early assurance, because with the exception of needing to take the MCAT or the DAT or the respective test, you don't have to participate in the regular application process. So one of the things that is relatively easier to do is to study abroad.
I can add to that as well. Myself and Matt Trotta here on the call, we're not early assurance, but we both studied abroad. We did summer study abroad programs. So sometimes we found that for us that it was easier to study abroad in the summer because there's quite a bit of course load, but we still got some time in to study abroad. So yeah, hopefully that helps.
Thank you.
We typically recommend that pre-health students do try to study abroad in the summer. It's not to say that they cannot do that during the fall or the spring semester, but it requires a little bit more advanced planning. And so summer is a good time to do it. Not to say that you can't do it during the fall or the spring, just that we have to begin the planning very early to make sure you're getting all the prerequisite coursework that you need either before or after you go abroad.
Cool. And to follow up with that, and especially with prerequisites and gen eds, if I'm a biology major, what kind of classes would you recommend I take during my first semester? Would I have to take like music class or anything like that?
Typically what we recommend for first semester students is to do no more than 2 math or science courses. And so for a pre-health student, that's usually going to be an intro level bio and an intro level chemistry course. Only the chemistry is really required during your first year though, because you need to do intro chemistry 1 and 2, and then sophomore year you would do organic chemistry 1 and 2. And so that's a big sequence that you need to be sure to fit in. And so in addition to intro level bio and intro level chemistry during your first semester, you could do a gen ed and then maybe an additional gen ed or a writing course or a composition course that you may need for your Harpur College writing requirement.
Great, awesome, thank you. So I know we've been answering a lot of different questions for our first year students. So this one's actually a transfer student asked. If transfer students are coming in from somewhere else, can they join the pre-health advising track, and what does that look like for them?
You can, as a transfer student, you could do the pre-health track for sure. You'll just have to work with your advisor more closely to figure out what you have, what you need, and the pathway for you, because if you don't have any sciences, we'll need to kind of catch up on your sciences. If you have some but not all, we'll kind of need to figure out, you know, how to get everything in a timely fashion, especially if you're going to be taking the MCAT and you've got to have everything done by the end of your junior year. Or if you're taking a gap year, how is this going to look for you? And so we'll just work closely with you to get that done.
Great, thank you. So a question I just saw before, so do I actually need to be in the pre-health or pre-med track to apply to medical school?
Well, you have to be in the track more or less. You have to take the required coursework, which is what the track is. You know, it was pointed out initially, it was it's an advising track or advising program. It's separate from what your major is, but you do have to be in the track to line the coursework up and finish it to be able to take the MCAT and then ultimately to apply. So that you can't apply without the stated requirements and without the test.
Thank you. So for the peer advisors, if you remember, typically how big are the pre-med classes? And do you know how classes are graded? Is it purely on exams? Do we have homework? Is lab part of it? What's that like? Excuse me.
Well, you can jump into, but to answer that, I would say you have a little bit of all that you mentioned. You have exams, you also have labs and homework, all of the above, and that's all built into your grade. I'd say your intro level classes are probably larger. Intro chem and intro bio per class, there's different classes throughout the day, but probably typically 250 students in a lecture hall, I would say. And then as you get further along your career in your upper level classes, they tend to get a bit smaller.
Mm-hmm. And the courses have also changed since we took them, and they're moving towards more small lab activities. So you may be in a general bio class where there's 450 people, but your lab course is going to only be a smaller class, and it's going to be based on developing research skills. So your lecture classes are going to be more based on things like quizzes, exams, homework assignments, and your labs are going to be based more on writing and quizzes. So it depends on which prerequisite class.
Thank you. So for the advisors, I know pre-health is such a general term. Typically, what are the most majors under the pre-health track?
I think that most students tend to major in integrative neuroscience and biology. Some students major in psychology, chemistry, or biochemistry, but I definitely think the most students are integrative neuroscience and biology.
And to follow up with that, if I am a psych or integrative neuroscience major, is it very math and science heavy for the coursework and course load?
I would say I know for integrative neuroscience, it's very science heavy. The only math courses I had to take were psych stats, and that was basic math. It wasn't math heavy, but Calculus 1 is required for being pre-med.
And even if you're a psychology major, you're still going to have to take the pre-med or pre-health prerequisites for whichever school you're applying to. So while the psychology major may not be super like basic math and science heavy, you're still going to have to take general chemistry, organic chemistry, and calculus, and whatever else is required for your pre-health school, even if it's not a part of the major.
Great, thank you. So the next one's about medical school requirements. So typically for all med schools, are the requirements the same, or do they vary depending on where you're applying to?
So for med school specifically, the requirements are pretty much all the same. You're looking at intro to bio, intro to chem, organic chemistry 1 and 2, physics 1 and 2, calculus, statistics, psych, and so on. For the other programs, the secondary programs like PA, PT, Pharm, OT, their requirements are going to differ a little bit here and there. A great website that we have on BU is the PreHealth website. You can actually go on to that and look up the different types of options underneath pre-health, like I just mentioned, OT, PT, med, dental, and look at the requirements. There's usually one list of what every school is looking for, and then there's sometimes a secondary list of what some schools are looking for. So in other words, all schools want X, Y, and Z. Some schools might want A, B, and C, and therefore you've got to do your own research and look up what the schools you're looking to apply might be looking at as secondary prerequisites.
Great, thank you. So a question just came in, and students wanted to know, is it difficult to double major while also being a pre-health or pre-med track?
You can
go ahead, Leah. I'm sorry.
I think it depends really how many credits you're coming in with and what the majors are. So if you want to do something like bio and psych and pre-med, there's a lot of overlap with the actual prerequisite courses, so that might be a little more doable. Otherwise, you're going to have to take a lot of overload semesters, I think.
Thank you. Another question just came in, and this is actually for majors that are not under Harpur College. So if I'm a biomedical engineer major, and am I in the pre-health track with Watson or with Harpur College?
That's a good question. You're actually on the pre-health track with Harpur. So you would see your engineering advisor for your major coursework, and you would also see your pre-health advisor your freshman year and sophomore year for your pre-health requirements, and then you would see Dr. Langhorn your junior year and senior year for your additional later on prerequisites and things like that.
Cool. Thank you. So I think it might have been answered before, but a student asked about transferring. So if I haven't taken a lot of science courses in my first college or university, how does a pre-health advisor kind of help you decide what class you need to take?
Again, we would just be looking at the exact prerequisites that you might need depending on which health graduate program you wanted to get into, and kind of working backwards from there to see how we could fit those courses into your schedule moving forward.
Cool. Awesome. Thank you very much. So right now is 4:45 p.m. and unfortunately I have to wrap up this webinar. Thank you very much for joining me. And if you need the contact information for the pre-health advisors, you just Google Harpur Advising. All their contact information is there. If you do have any further questions that we couldn't get to today, we, the admissions counselors from the admissions team, we do have live chat hours every single morning from 8:30 to 5 o'clock. And I'm going to paste it into the chat function on the bottom. If you want to copy and paste that into your toolbar to chat with us in the morning. But thank you everyone for joining me today. And this will be recorded and posted at a later time in case you missed the first half of it. Following this webinar, we do have a faculty series with integrative neuroscience. So one of our professors for integrative neuroscience will talk about his class. And on Wednesday, this Wednesday, the 22nd, we're actually having a biology faculty session that will go on as well. Otherwise, thank you for joining me today, and thanks everyone for supporting this webinar. Bye-bye, thank you.